Hello, my name is Evelyn, and I am a person of melanin. If you don't know what melanin is, now will be a good time to look that up. Right now in the US, America, there is a race war going on. More to the point, this is a civil war. And in the past, the people without melanin, Caucasians, have made themselves the majority, and anyone who didn't fall into that group became minority and were seen as less than or different from. But the people without pigment were always the ideal, and everyone else was trying to reach that ideal. For example, people without melanin think that they have the best hair, the best eyes, the best skin color. And if you don't look like them or have any of these traits, then you were considered inferior. Another indicator of this is eye color. People without melanin have historically thought that blue eyes were something that they exclusively had and it made them special. Well, there are people with pigment, people with melanin, who have blue eyes, green eyes. The thing is, blue, green, gray, any other color, those are recessive genes. That means that is not the norm. That is the abnormality in our genes. The dominant gene, when it comes to eye color, is brown. Look in the mirror. What color are your eyes? You are the majority if your eyes are brown. I will use people of melanin, people of pigment interchangeably. So don't get confused. They mean the same thing. I was just trying to find a better word, one that I could identify with, to describe myself. I don't allow people to put labels on me, and I don't fall into a box. I am, who I was born to be. That can't be taken away from me because of prejudice or ignorance, stupidity, hate, malice. I'm an individual, but the beautiful thing about me is I am a person of melanin, and I can go out into the sun. I'm sitting in the sun right now. My skin will caramelize. A person without pigment, a person without melanin, turns into a lobster, skin peeling, and cancer. How can that be the ideal? Why do they feel like everyone should be like them? Diversity is good. Also, historically, people without pigment, people without melanin, have wanted to be like people with pigment, but they were ashamed to say that, so they tried to make anyone who was different from them a bad thing, the thing undesirable. But tell me this, why are they in the tanning salons? Why are they spraying on tans so they could look like me. I have what they want. They will stop at no length to get it. It comes naturally to me. That is the point. All people of melanin, all people of pigment, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Be proud of who you are. The reason why I came up with people of pigment and people of melanin is because we are the majority. We are the ideal. So I wanted to use us and then compare those that are not us based on what we are. Because historically, it's been the opposite. We are not what they are. But we're not going to start off with them as the model. We are the model. We have been as long as there have been human beings. Adam and Eve were people of pigment. Yeshua, or as is known around the English-speaking world, Jesus, was a person of pigment. He was born in the Middle East. The Bible describes his hair. It was hair of people of melanin. It was not blonde and straight, and he wasn't a person without pigment. He lived and worked in the Middle East. Have you been to the Middle East? It is hot. You cannot survive there if you're a person without pigment. I had to speak out because it's time that it was said, and there needs to be a race war in this country. And I don't even want to say a race war, more like a civil war, another one, because the first one wasn't right. The American Civil War, the North supposedly fought the South. When the South lost, the South got concessions from the North, like we will put Southern generals in Congress and the Senate, and so the generals of the losing side of the part of the country that fought the other part of the country, which is considered treason, by the way, they let them be rulers of the country. And then the South was mad because they lost this civil war, so they decided to get back at people of melanin. The Civil War was to end slavery. Well, if the slaves were free now and walking around the South, it made it seem like they were making fools of the Southerners. So in order to get back, they instituted Jim Crow laws, saying that people of melanin couldn't ride in front of the bus. You couldn't use their bathrooms. You couldn't drink from their fountains. You couldn't use the front door of a restaurant. You couldn't even sit in a restaurant if you did come in the back door. You were still obligated to work for them, clean their houses, raise their children, cook their food, but you weren't considered a person. Now, mind you, if someone is not considered a person, why would you let them raise your children, clean your house, cook your food? It's just a lot of stupidity going on, and it has been forever. So, yes, this Civil War is long overdue, and this time the divide is clear. You have people of pigment, which includes the descendants of slaves, the Mexicans, the Latinos, just everyone who can say, my skin does not turn red when I go outside. I do not look like a lobster after sunlight. So the divide is people of pigment, people of melanin, and then people without melanin. You see how we are the people of melanin and they are what we aren't. We are the majority, they are the minority. That bothers them, and they're still trying to use tactics from millennia ago to suppress, to enslave, to discredit people of melanin. Now, I only focused on the outer look, but here's another thing you don't know about American history. Every time a person of pigment created something, it was stolen from them by a person without pigment. Then later, it was released under a person without pigment's name. They copyrighted it. For example, music. The stoplight, red, yellow, green, that was invented by a person of pigment. Who is the creator in your history books of that? The cotton gin, a person with pigment. They won't be listed as the creators though. There's just this whole list because during slavery, the master owned people. And so any works they created belonged to the owner. Just like if you work in a company and you create something, they say that they own your creativity because you were working for them during the time of its creation. So this is the history of this country, and it's not pretty. It shouldn't be dressed up, but it needs to be spoken. And lots of rights wronged. And the way to go about that is to speak up. And yes, there needs to be a civil war that fixes everything. And maybe this one will get it right. Thank you for listening.